So hi guys, a few people who I meet ask how I use a small 40% keyboard, so today I'm going to show you how I configure my 40%. First off, I have 5 layers of key maps set for all of my keyboards. Alphabet keys with Colemak layout, number and extra keys, symbols, navigation and arrow keys, mouse keys and RGB control, and one extra one-shot layer for F12 or QWERTY for games. In the alphabet layer, my keys on the left are Tab, Start and Shift, while on the right is Delete and Enter. Thumb keys are Control, Layer 1, Space, Backspace, Layer 2 and Alt, which are basically the same for all of the other layers. I think it took me a few weeks of changing my key map, like swapping Start with Shift and Enter with Backspace, and a few more minor tweaks over the course of a couple of months. On this alphabet layer, I also have a tap hold modifier on my Z key, meaning if I tap it, it becomes Z, and if I hold it, it becomes Alt. This is because I Alt tab a lot between programs, so I made this setting so I can just Alt tab with one hand. Originally, I tried to use home row modifiers, which would reduce the number of keys I'd be using, or essentially become a 30% keyboard, but the time lag between tapping a key and registering the key was annoying for me, so I just stuck with normal keys on home row. The next layer is my number, symbols, and extras layer. I thought of having a numpad style number placement, but I ditched that as the column stagger key placement wasn't comfortable for blind typing numbers, and not having 4 rows of keys made it a bit hard to key in the numbers. On my left side, I have Escape, Control Alternate Delete, Caps Lock, F13 for converting Japanese text, Menu, also known as the right click, and one-shot layers going to my last layer for F5 or F12 keys, also known as refresh and save as. On my right side, I have a few symbols which I rarely use alongside the pause, break, and print screen keys. I also have Control Backspace in case I want to delete whole words. The next layer is symbols, F keys, and navigation keys. I didn't assign an F1 key since there's absolutely no use case for it, and it annoys me a lot when I want to press escape but accidentally press F1 on a standard keyboard. As for the symbols, they are basically the same as shift plus number rows on a normal keyboard, with the parentheses and curlies on the bottom right. The navigation keys are on the right so that I can use my arrows, page up and down, home and keys using one hand, although I still need to use 2 hands to move to ends like Control plus arrow or Control shift arrow or Control page up down though. The third layer is the RGB and mouse key layer. I don't use RGB keys after setting an animation that I like, plus in some cases left and right sides don't sync well when changing the light settings. The mouse keys, however, are one of the most useful functions of a customizable keyboard because you can opt to not lift your hand to move your mouse. It's slower, not as accurate, and clunky to use, but sometimes I just don't want to move my hands and just keep them where they are. Laziness has no limits. By the way, my mouse keys are 1 row above the arrow keys on the previous layer, and this is because it's much more comfortable on my hand as I don't need to curl them up like on the arrow keys. Lastly, I also have a Control Shift Escape key on this layer to open Task Manager. The last layer is the F5, F12, QWERTY gaming keys, and that's it, I guess. I tried playing simple games like Vampire Survivor, but when Overwatch 2 came out, I just went back to a standard QWERTY keybob instead of remapping this layer. By the way, I quit Overwatch 2 a month later because I'm just too old to get good. So these 5 layers are standard across all the 40% that I have, except for a few minor differences here and there, like the dedicated arrow keys on the BM40, the shared space backspace on the RevWing, or the dedicated parentheses keys on the Lily 58 Pro. I'm pretty sure anyone that uses a 40% keybob would make and tweak their own key maps according to how comfortable and convenient they want their keyboard to be. Mine just so happens to look like this, and who knows, I might tweak these a bit more in the future. Looking at other people's key maps does inspire me to do a few tweaks and changes. So that's how my 40% keyboard looks like. I hope it gives you an idea of how 40% keybobs are so frustratingly fun to use. So thanks for watching. ご視聴ありがとうございました。